Hey folks, today is Friday, July 10th, 2020. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news stuff that has been going on this week. There's a lot to get you guys caught up on. It's a packed week, so let's just jump in. The first thing is Far Cry 6 has leaked. I think it wouldn't be a summer without video game massive news leaking constantly. It almost feels like there has been an E3 this year. Well, the thing with Far Cry 6 here is a store listing leaked it this morning. Ta-da, here it is. There's this image of the game. It is Far Cry 6. It is starring, like previously rumored last week, Giancarlo Esposito, most notably from Breaking Bad, and most notably from Better Call Saul, which you should absolutely watch, like yesterday. And the store page pretty much told us everything. The English version reads as this, the description. Welcome to Yara, a tropical paradise frozen in time. As the dictator of Yara, Anton Castillo is intent on restoring his nation back to its former glory by any means, with his son, Diego, following in his bloody footsteps. Their ruthless oppression has ignited a revolution. Play as Danny Rojas, a local Yaran, and become a guerrilla fighter to liberate the nation. Fight across Anton's troops in the largest Far Cry playground to date across jungles, beaches, and Esperanza, the capital city of Yara. I'm going to be totally honest here, and this description reads like a lot of other Far Cry games. I was hoping for a little something more. I can't help but always get excited about Far Cry games, just the promise of them, a new playground, new weird possibilities, even if they don't always live up to my hype or my expectations. Here, I do think it's very interesting to point out, number one, really cool, charismatic villain. They're doing that again, but this time with a really kick-ass actor. Number two, his son. A lot of people are suggesting that he is Vaas from Far Cry 3, the iconic kind of secondary villain. That makes this a little bit more exciting, especially if it takes place like, in the 80s or the early 90s or something like that. That could be fun. Although Vaas's real name wasn't really Diego, or at least not that we know. He was Vaas Montenegro. He's native and more collected to what was going on in Far Cry 3, the fictional stuff. So I don't know what they're doing here. I feel like a kid prominently featured on the cover. They gotta be doing something like this. It's gotta be some sort of Vaas origin story, because that would be so much fun. I don't know. I love Far Cry 3. It's my favorite. I've still kind of been chasing the dragon of like the games living up to how fun that game was. But still, that's just speculation on my part and a lot of other people out there. What we know now is just that leak. And also Ubisoft came out and put out a little teaser trailer showing Anton, played by Giancarlo Esposito, and cool. Basically, it kind of seems like Ubisoft either like knew this was going to leak or this was intentional or something. Like they had this thing ready to go and they threw it out there within 2 hours or so of it leaking. So I don't know. I'm very curious to what you guys think of Far Cry 6, because I know a lot of people are just burnt out on the series. I just keep on taking the hits. I still love to just try them all. That's part of my job. But did you read the description and think the same as me, that it just sounds samey? Maybe there's some overhaul that the description isn't suggesting yet. We're gonna have to wait and see, because it's being revealed at the Ubisoft thing this weekend. Also, in case you missed it, we got kind of a confirmation that Naughty Dog is working on a new single-player game. This shouldn't really come as a surprise. Video game studios very quickly move on from one project to the next. And, whether you liked The Last of Us Part 2 or not, at the very least, cool, we're getting a new single-player game made by that studio, thanks to some job listings. They're going on a hiring spree with multiple listings, but the biggest emphasis here was that they are hiring developers who can work on, and I quote, next-generation graphics. So, there you have it. Naughty Dog is working on a next-generation console game, presumably PlayStation 5. I mean, come on. Now, if we're talking opinion, reboot Jak and Daxter. That's what I want. Please, I would love to see Naughty Dog take a jump back into like the colorful, creative, cartoony side just for a minute, because I miss some of that stuff. Woo! But in some other really exciting news, wow. So we got a lot of Valve Half-Life bombshells, thanks to good old Papa Jeff Keighley, who has finally released the final hours of Half-Life Alyx. Jeff Keighley, for years, has been doing legit journalism and kind of documenting behind-the-scenes stories of games, way back from Metal Gear Solid 2 with an incredibly well-written piece. Now, fast forward to 2020, the final hours of Half-Life Alyx is like an interactive kind of exploration. It's got tons of words, it's got tons of assets, it's got tons of things to explore, and it's basically a Steam app that you download on your Mac or PC, and you can experience this whole multimedia thing that's not only just details the making of Half-Life Alyx, but just goes way behind the scenes of Valve. And we got some juicy deets, I gotta say. It's been revealed in this that Valve had been working on and canceled something like 5 Half-Life projects, among many other wild things, and it's pretty crazy. I'm gonna break them down really quick. They had actually experimented with a conceptual Half-Life 3 with like procedural generated elements, and that was in development only for like a year between 2013 and 2014. There were problems with the engine and just ultimately Valve being Valve, and it never happened. Then there was Left 4 Dead 3, which was going to be like an open world experience in Morocco, kind of matching up with rumors that we've talked about and Valve News Network has also highlighted in the past. Then they were working on some sort of RPG that was like Elder Scrolls, Dark Souls, Monster Hunter hybrid. That got axed. Then there was ARTI, which was kind of like this voxel-based, destruction-based fun game that may or may not have been in the Half-Life Portal universe. Then there was a VR game being worked on by Kerbal Space Program developers that was also shelved. Then there was a shooter, which was like a Half-Life themed VR shooter that used Half-Life 2 elements and kind of was like a big theme park ride in the Half-Life world. There was another Half-Life VR project that was called Borealis that was headed up by writer Mark Laidlaw that kind of would have been some sort of Half-Life 2 experience after Episode 2. Then there was a project called Hot Dog as the code name, which was going to be another type of spin on Left 4 Dead. And then also in this project, they detailed their first headset, which was codenamed Vader, which was like this insane over-the-top, no-compromise VR that would have cost thousands of dollars that they canceled. Not only that, they alluded that there is still a top-secret project that Valve has been working on since 2018. And of course, Valve has now gone on the record since Half-Life Alyx saying that, hey, we would like to maybe eventually make more games in the Half-Life universe, continue that, maybe not in VR. I'm still digging through it, but it's just a really cool experience. I also personally really, really love Half-Life Alyx. It's one of my top games of the year. So if you like Valve or if you're interested in anything of that, it's linked down in the description below. Now, next up, this episode is brought to you by Dashlane. You likely live out a good chunk of your life online. Come on. I know I do. Now with Dashlane, you can feel safer online thanks to the extra level of security it brings. Dashlane can be like a catch-all for your online life by acting as a password manager if you're forgetful, as well as managing personal info to keep all of your online activities secure and safe. It also has a nifty secure autofill feature to save you some time as well. Now you can get Dashlane on basically all devices, PC, Mac, iOS, Android, multiple browsers, and it's super easy to set up and use. So give it a shot for free on your first device by going to dashlane.com/gameranx and use the promo code gameranx to get 10% off if you like it and decide to go with the premium version. All of that, if you want to check it out, is linked in the description below. Thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this video, too. Now, in other news, let's just chill out and talk about some aesthetics and stuff like that. Sony has revealed what a physical game case will look like for PlayStation 5 games if you're to go in the store and buy a physical disc-based game, which is still pretty much dying off. Here it is. It's also with the cover being Spider-Man Miles Morales, kind of going with the theme of what they did with the Spider-Man PS4 box art, which is kind of whatever, but the big takeaway here is the PS5 label on the top and the blue plastic. So it's very sleek, it's very futuristic, it kind of matches the console. It's very white on black with that stark blue plastic behind it. Boy, I tweeted this out yesterday and everyone was just like not into it at all. I guess I don't care about things that much, but I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked pretty nice and clean. I don't really care. I mean, it's a box, but we love talking about these things, so I want to hear what you guys think. That's where we're at, though. It's still fun to like dissect things and pick things apart. Honestly, props to Sony for just tweeting it out and saying, hey, here it is. Here's what it's going to look like. Cool. And they said you're going to be buying these games this holiday season, so cool. I still can't believe that the next generation is actually happening. Anyway, there's also things floating around of a black version of the console. I know a lot of people who don't like, white technology or just didn't like the overall design of the PlayStation 5 and thought it would look better in black. There was like a new leak suggested. It was like a render seen in a internal Sony store advertisement type of thing with a black PlayStation 5 right then and there. Is it real? Is it legit? Was it an editing mistake? Was it just a dumb Photoshop? Who knows? But if you're looking for some color variety in your console, obviously it's definitely coming down the pipeline, but if we're getting an image of this soon, maybe it's going to be closer to launch. Who knows? Also, for you fighting game fans out there, it was kind of developing as last week we were wrapping up the show, but EVO 2020 is officially canceled, pretty much stemming from a lot of sexual allegations and misconduct in that community, and with what's going on with EVO internally. So it's another event cancellation this year. It's a bummer. Looking forward to 2021. Now let's link a couple of things for you guys in case you missed it this week. All this stuff is linked in the description below. The first thing we have is a little trailer for Halo 3, which is coming to PC pretty soon, and that's going to be on the Master Chief Collection, but also you can play Halo 3 on Steam. I just want to point out how weird it is to say that in 2020, but also that's very cool. Also, I just linked the trailer again because it is out today. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is a thing if you're into that retro style goodness. Not only that, I also linked the release date trailer for Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Talked about it a few weeks ago. We're very excited about it. It is dropping in September, early September, and there's also going to be some new content for it. Pretty hyped for that. Also, I definitely want to link this in the description below and recommend it. This is a really fun watch. I did a video with Austin Evans and the This Is crew, essentially playing this video game trivia challenge where I had to guess the sound of a game and the year it released. And I'll let you watch it for yourself. I think I did pretty okay, although I made one epically embarrassing mistake that you're all going to revoke my gamer card. Still, it was a really good time, and I love Austin, and I love those guys there, so I definitely recommend watching it, going over there, and tell them I sent you. Now, in other news, in case you missed it, some inside baseball financial news. Sony has invested $250 million into Epic Games. Whew. That is a huge chunk of change, but for perspective, Fortnite brings that in revenue pretty easily, very frequently. Still, this is a large chunk of change for Sony to commit to them. Also, it's worth pointing out that this doesn't affect anything of like platform releases. It doesn't mean Fortnite is going to be a PS5 exclusive or anything like that. I look at it as technology investment. Sony and also on the Epic side, their leadership has very much talked about how they are all impressed with what's going on here with Epic saying that the PlayStation 5 internally is really great and PlayStation 5 very much backing the new Unreal Engine. So that's what I see this as, kind of a marriage of both of those teams kind of backing each other up. Hopefully it's a good thing. More money invested into video game technology means maybe we'll get some better games in the future. That's all I can say. I can try and look on the bright side, but I would love to know what you guys are thinking on that. And honestly, I want to know what you guys are thinking about everything this week. So we got to talk in the comments. As I've been saying, the console giveaway has been postponed for a little while. It's going to be back pretty soon. But thank you guys for watching. Let's talk about this stuff. I want to hear what you think about the PlayStation plastic game case. Of course, let's nitpick. Also, I want to hear what you guys are thinking on Far Cry 6. I can't help but be excited. It sounds a little samey, but some of the story implications could be cool. Just give me Far Cry 3 2, if that makes sense. And of course, what do you think about all those Half-Life and Valve projects that made it on the cutting room floor? Are you looking through the final hours thing? Are you having fun? Let's talk about anything Half-Life and Valve too. Honestly, let's talk about anything going on. I want to hear what you guys are playing this weekend. We always leave that as like a comment, a top pinned comment, because honestly, research. We want to know what you guys are interested in, and we want to know what we can kind of tune our videos to. So let us know. Thank you guys for coming around every Friday though. Still having a blast here. Ooh. That was a little mean. Sorry, dude. Still having a blast here. Still going alone and crazy. But thank you guys for being here. Clicking the like button does help us out. For real. Subscribe if you're new, because we put out videos every single day. Catch me on the Before You Buys, and I'm here every Friday. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Pizza's on me.